All right, hello. Welcome. Welcome to the New Orleans Jazz Museum. On behalf of the New Orleans Jazz National Historical Park, we're so delighted to have this partnership with the New Orleans Jazz Museum to provide free concerts for you throughout the week. The mission of the New Orleans Jazz National Historical Park is to instill a public appreciation for the history, music, and culture, and as well be a global leader in promoting and protecting this rich American art form for future generations. On Tuesdays, we have our Arrowhead Jazz Band. It's a band comprised of park rangers like myself and local guest musicians. It is Women's History Month, so we are celebrating the many women that are part of New Orleans local music scene and beyond, and the great women that have paved the way in jazz. This set list will highlight a few of our favorite singers, two being Betty Carter and Carmen McRae. They put out an album when they were just towards the end of their career, and it's a great record, and we are exploring this record and working on the arrangements that you will find in this record. So without further ado, please silence your cell phones or any devices. I'm gonna do that myself. I'll make sure. And also, please sit back and enjoy the show while we call up the band. On drums, we have Jasmine Butler. Saxophone, Kate Campbell-Strauss. Bass, Carrie Lewis Sr. Piano, Jenna McSwain. Vocals, Saskia Walker. And I'm on vocals and I guess interpreting this show. My name is Jade Purdue. Thank you. If you are familiar with our shows, you know that it is live streamed. So in the middle of our set, we will open up the floor and audience for you to ask any questions that you may have regarding the songs that we've already played or just anything about our site. So we're going to get started with the tune titled Jazz Ain't Nothing But Soul, which can be found on Betty Carter's first album titled The Modern Sound of Betty Carter. And this is an original that she wrote. Hope you enjoy. One, two, three. Jazz is making do potatoes and grits, standing up each time you get hit. Jazz ain't nothing but soul.
Jazz is living high off nickels and dimes, telling folks about what's on your mind. Jazz ain't nothing but soul. Trumpets, bass, and saxophone, rhythm making love, people wearing fancy clothes. It's the voice of my people for me. Jazz is all the truth to be found. Never mind who's putting it down. Jazz Tell me what jazz is all about, Dave.
Jazz is making do potatoes and grits, standing up each time you get hit. Ain't nothing but soul.
Jazz is making do with nickels and dimes, telling folks about what's on your mind. Jazz ain't nothing but soul. Trumpets, basses, saxophones, rhythm and making love.
People wearing fancy clothes, it's the voice of my people. For me, jazz is all the truth to be found. Never mind who's putting it down. Jazz ain't nothing but soul. Jazz ain't nothing but soul. Jazz ain't nothing but soul.
Thank you.
All right, so that first song again can be found on Betty Carter's first album, The Modern Sound of Betty Carter. But these next songs that we will do for you are found on, again, this record. It was a live recording that Betty Carter and Carmen McRae did. I can't think of the day. I think it's 1989, roughly. And they were in San Francisco. And it's really hard to get two vocalists to come together, especially of their schedule. And they're different parts of the U.S. at the time. I think Carmen was in California and Betty Carter was either in New York. So they came together in San Francisco, and actually they kind of Frankenstein the band together. Some members from Betty Carter's band came together, and some members from Carmen McRae's band came together, and they played this show. And so these songs are from that performance. And we are going to mix some songs. I'm imitating Carter, and some songs she is.
I'm Betty.
So let's do Stolen Moments.
All our stolen little moments, the many times I'm not with you. They are such precious stolen moments that are meant only for us two. Whenever you're gone and I know you're not here, it's so hard to remember when you disappear. The face always there right in front of you, but you belong to her. The many times I'm not with you, there are such precious stolen moments that are meant only for us two. Whenever you're gone and I know you're not here, it's so hard to remember with your face so still right in front of me. But you belong to her, but you belong to her, but you belong to her, but you belong to her.
Thank you.
Sometimes I'm happy, sometimes I'm blue. My disposition depends upon you. I never mind the rain from the sky, just as long as I can find sunshine in your eyes. Oh, sometimes I love you, baby. Sometimes I hate you, baby. But when I love you, it's only because I hate you, baby. And that's how I am. So what? What can I do? I'm just so happy when I'm with you.
Sometimes I'm happy, sometimes I'm blue. Boy, my disposition depends on you. I never mind the rain from the sky, just as long as there's sunshine in your eyes. Sometimes I hate you, sometimes I love you. But when I hate you, it's 'cause I love you. That's how I am. What can I do? I'm happy when I'm with you. But if it's really good,
Sometimes I'm happy,
sometimes I'm blue.
my disposition, well, it
Depends on you.
I never mind the rain from the sky.
Just as long as there is sunshine in your eyes.
Sometimes I love you.
Sometimes I hate you, but when I hate you, it's because I love you.
That's how I am, so what can I do?
I'm happy when I'm with you.
I'm happy when I am.
I'm happy, I'm happy,
I'm happy, I'm happy.
I'm happy when I'm with you.
I'm happy when I'm happy, I'm happy. 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 I'm happy, I'm happy.
I'm happy, oh.
Oh, when I am with you. Sometimes I'm happy.
And this next song is going to feature Jasmine Butler. We're going to have a nice little song that you can also get along with. So be prepared. Get your voice all warmed up. All right, it's coming up.
It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. It don't mean a thing, all you got to do is sing. It makes no difference if it's sweet or hot.
No, 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 no.
Just give that rhythm everything you got.
Oh,
It don't mean a thing, all you gotta do is swing. Say, do-I, 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 do-I. It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Do-I, 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 do-I. It don't mean a thing, all you gotta do is say, do-I, 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 do-I. It makes no difference if it's sweet or hot. Just give that rhythm everything you got.
no, it don't mean a thing.
All you gotta do is
Sing.
do-I, 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 do-I.
One more time, do I? Let's see the audience. Everybody now.
Y'all kept that in rhythm. Good job. Round of applause for y'all.
Oh man. So now you can go across the world, all over the world singing. Now you know how to say doo-wah. All right, y'all. So I did give you a warning that we like to open up our shows for any questions that you may have. So now's the time. But I want to actually I want to ask you a question. How many of y'all, by show of hands, knew the name Betty Carter or Carmen McRae? Okay, that is a decent amount. But now, once you leave this room, maybe if y'all ever come back and it's the same people ever again, maybe all the hands will go up next time. So with this said, we wanted to highlight a few of the women that may have gotten passed over and when we were learning jazz history. I can say for myself, I didn't discover Betty Carter or Carmen McRae until I went on to grad school, but I knew about Ella Fitzgerald, I knew about Sarah Vaughan, I knew about Peg Lee and Billie Holiday, but I did not know about Betty Carter and Carmen McRae, and that was on me, you know. So you have two more vocalists to add on to your list of people that you want to listen to on Spotify or YouTube. Actually, we're canceling streaming services.
Buy the CD.
Yes. How many of y'all have CD players?
Okay. Vinyl.
All right, vinyl. It's coming back. I made a point in one of my Ranger talks that if streaming services were to go down, how many of us have physical copies? How much of music do we actually own? So you got to go and get you some Betty Carter and Carmen McRae records. Okay, now's the time that you can actually access some questions. Did I see any hands? Yes. I'm curious as well. I'm still figuring this out. It's interesting because I'm a musician. I'm a musician first. I studied music. I did not study park ranger skills in school, but under this field of interpretation, there are many parks. Each park has its own unique story to tell and its unique thing that it's preserving. So whereas with the huge parks, the 69 big parks like Yellowstone and Grand Canyon, all of that, where they preserve land, here under interpretation, I'm preserving, or we are, sorry, but it's Women's History Month, so I get it. No, but we are preserving New Orleans traditional jazz music and just jazz as a whole. So we do that by playing music, storytelling, a range of talks, and it's fitting within our program. But I do want to add that they have there's 420 plus parks that are also dedicated to preserving different stories. So you have a lot of historical parks where they interpret different things or interpret differently. But yeah, so that's how I do it, through the field of interpretation. Yes. Do we have any interpreters in the house? Oh, well, I'll raise my hand. There's one interpreter. Yes.
You obviously play very well together, so you rehearse together. But on the improvisations, how much of it is the same, and how much do you surprise yourself?
None of it is. I honestly, well, I want to add that this particular group we've played twice, and 45 minutes earlier, and just how many minutes have gone past right now. But as far as in improvisation, none of it's the same. Even if I was to go back and rewatch this live stream, I still wouldn't be able to just memorize everything that I did. And I can say if I can speak for y'all, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be able to do the same thing. But we do have some moments that are written out. So the set list is the same, the form is the same. So yeah, it helps us kind of stay on track.
But improvisation, it kind of comes with the name that it's improvised, so you can't improvise the same thing twice, right? And then you could technically painstakingly transcribe everything that you did. That's a way that you study improvisation, is to hear what the greats did in their improvisation.
I grew up with Take 5, and it always sounded the same thing.
Well, maybe you always listen to the same recording.
And I do want to add that improvisation is not exclusive to soloing. So just like with Stolen Moments, there's a moment where we did a cappella, right? But it was kind of like an improvised moment because we did not sing that melody the same way that we did it at the top of the song. It was different. It was improvised. So I think, yes, thank you. We get a little hand clap for that. Yes.
As someone who doesn't know Betty Carter and tell me
Carmen McRae.
Carmen McRae, can you just give me a little snapshot of them?
Yeah, so these were two vocalists that got or hit a major success between 60s, 70s, and 80s. Those were like their highlight moments. The first album that we did, Jazz Ain't Nothing But Soul, comes from. It was published released in 1960. But Betty Carter got her start singing with Lionel Hampton's big band in the 50s, and then at the turn of 60, she started to develop her own career. Now, Carmen McRae had a different story. She started out as a pianist, and one of the first records that she put out was as a pianist accompanying other horn players, and she was playing with Dizzy Gillespie up in New York. But it wasn't until, I think, a little bit later, I kind of get the dates kind of mixed up. Around the 60s is when she started to present herself as a vocalist and started touring. So, but they were also being professional musicians around the same time as Ella Fitzgerald as well. They just were 20 years younger, but still performing. So that it's like, who's a little bit older? Another vocalist that's a little bit older than us right now. Let's say Diane. She's just a pianist. Yeah, Diana Krall. I'll say maybe she's like 20 years older than us. She's still performing. She's a little bit more famous, but we are also performing. So it's kind of like that with Forrest Dates.
Are they alive today?
No, they passed away. I think Betty Carter passed away in 1998, and Carmen McRae passed away either early 2000s or early 90s, within that range.
We have a question over there.
I was curious how important jazz music is to this area. There's local schools.
How important jazz music is to this area. I mean,
And I just wondered, separate from field trips coming here and learning, do you reach out to the various schools and their music programs and give them kind of that little sting, that interest, that
Yeah, well, I think everybody who comes to New Orleans with the intention of playing music sort of knows or ends up learning that it all comes from here, so it's kind of impossible to, we don't need to, well, I mean, that's a bit of a stretch saying we don't need to inspire people, but like whoever is here, there's such a rich history and rich culture of music, jazz music, since it was founded here in the city. It is so deep-rooted in our society that it's kind of impossible to not see it everywhere, to not be surrounded by it all the time. And we were just talking earlier today about how New Orleans, you can be a working musician in New Orleans because there's so many, and support yourself just through gigging because it's so saturated. The market is so saturated, and there's so many musicians and who definitely go to the schools and do the jazz band as well, but also just learn the music through performing it on the street in second line parades and church and all sorts of other venues. Yeah.
Anyone else? Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm just wondering, does classical training, is that something that's also part of your history as a pianist and who was a singer?
Well, maybe personally, maybe, but I don't know if historically, like, are you asking us personally or in New Orleans?
Yeah, you up there.
Okay.
Oh, yes. I studied classical in undergrad, and only for 4 years. I had no intentions of studying classical voice or classical music at all. But I want to backtrack just highlight that New Orleans was home of the first few French opera houses. So classical music has been tied in and linked to our history, or New Orleans history. But to say the least, I studied classical in undergrad. Hey, Jenna. Training was brutal.
I studied some classical in undergraduate too, yeah. And growing up, I actually got the privilege of going to an art school. I grew up in South Carolina where they had a magnet school, and I got to study classical piano one day and jazz piano the next day, every day in school, which was really great. But yeah, I mean, there's still so much like classical and jazz music are all essentially based on, believe it or not, the same kind of harmony. Our harmony is stacked. It's still a 12-note system. It's still, this traditional system that we use. And they're just so related. If you go and listen to, John Coltrane is a great example of someone that might be studied in a classical, modern advanced theory course because he took the system of classical music and he studied classical music himself and then incorporated it into something completely new, even beyond what jazz was doing at the time. So it's like New Orleans, they'd call it like a melting pot or gumbo pot or whatever you want to call it, right? But it's like music is constantly coming together, and it's kind of impossible to delineate, between one genre and the other, because we're always playing, like when I did something in my solo where I go like, I'm thinking about Thelonious Monk, but I'm also thinking about Claude Debussy, a great French impressionist composer. Like, I'm not thinking about it in the moment, but that's where I would say I'm influenced by. I don't know.
And also during my training, one of my professors would always say that Baroque music is heavily related to what jazz is, and I never understood it when he would mention it, but then after just listening to some Baroque composers and maybe going into more of the modern jazz, I would say, okay, all right, the lines are similar. They have a little tilt and wilt to it, especially with certain rhythms as well. So yeah, that's a great question. We want to get back to the music. Is that all right? Thank you. And if you have any more questions, please reach out to us after the show. We will definitely be glad to answer them. This next song is titled, What's New? we haven't met since then. But it's nice to see you again.
Once probably I'm boring you, but seeing you is great. And you were sweet, so sweet, to offer your hand.
I do. Pardon my asking what's new. Of course you couldn't know. I haven't changed. I still love you so. All right. Now we've come down to our very last few minutes, but before I let you go, I want to give you some reminders. You can check out our programs, the National Park programs, at 419 Decatur on Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. We have 10 a.m. Ranger Talks and 2 p.m. concerts. You can also find us on social media at NOLA Jazz NHP. So if you've taken any videos or would like to tag us, please do so. And you can also check out our website at nps.gov/jazz. And if you forgot all of that, come down to our site at 419 Decatur and pick up a flyer. Again, I want to shout out the band. We had an amazing set. We had Kate Campbell-Strauss on saxophone, Jasmine Butler on drums, Carrie Lewis Sr. on bass, Jenna McSwain on piano, Saskia Walker on vocals. Again, my name is Jay Perdue. Thank you for coming through. And this last song is another original from Betty Carter titled Tight. So we began this set list with the Betty Carter original, and we ended it with another Betty Carter original. So once again, these two vocalists, Betty Carter and Carmen McRae, were amazing. They really paved the way for younger vocalists like us to find our standing. So we hope you enjoyed, and you take care.
I don't know where my man is. Where can he be? I've been looking and looking and looking and looking and searching all over town. Let me tell you, I'm sure, hoping that he can be found on the loose. And I don't dig it. So girls, take my advice. If you find a man, girl, hold on tight. Don't let him hold on to him tight.
y'all so much for coming to the Arrowhead Jazz Band. Kate Campbell Strauss, Jasmine Butler, Carrie Lewis Sr., Saskia Walker, Jenna McSwain. I'm Jay Perdue. Thank you for coming through. One last thing I forgot to tell you. There's a 5 p.m. balcony show. So if you're not afraid of 40-degree weather, get on out there with your jacket and come back out for the New Orleans Jazz Museum. See you next time.